And people say to me, what's the biggest threat to any business in the UK? My answer is as follows. It's either the internal IT department or the external IT company. And people say, what do you mean? I say, where in the word IT support or IT department does it say cybersecurity specialist? And there's our problem, because right now, when I last checked in December, there's something like 12,500 different cybersecurity solutions and services available for a small business.
12,500.
Okay. So how do you know where to even start or to pick?
Yes.
And this is why we do, or why we love doing what we do, because we've taken all that pain away from the small business and go, here are the 4 top enterprise or 5 enterprise solutions you need to drop your risk by 99+%. And we include a ransom guarantee, which most people don't. Okay?
So can you go through those?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
But I will go through it in a second. I just want to finish my point about the IT companies.
Yes.
And you can't make this stuff up, but I had a case like this only last week. So, and I'm going to try and give you the short version, because you know I can talk for England and South Africa at the same time. What happened was, this IT company's client, which I know the owner very well, was compromised. Email came in, it went straight through their email security, executed on this senior partners.
What would compromise mean?
Compromise, I'll tell you now, it resulted into an attack.
Okay.
So in other words, if somebody breaks into your house, that's a compromise.
Yes.
Then they steal something from your house, that's a compromise.
Yes.
So if they never got in, you wouldn't have been compromised.
So somebody was out there going through the IT system into your business.
Yeah.
And in some way try to do something illegal.
Precise, or steal data. Data's the new gold.
Okay.
But let me explain to you the story, because it'll all make sense. Email comes through, their email security didn't pick up that. So their accountant was compromised. The accountant then sent a PDF attachment that was embedded with an attack, malware, that the email security missed. Email then ends up in his inbox. He opens it up immediately. The PDF executes the attack, compromise. The computer security never picked up this attack. The next thing that happened was that the attack then launched a new attack that then emailed everybody in his contacts folder, including all his very wealthy clients, with another PDF attached that was also infected. This is how, you see my point about COVID? How it spreads instantly. You can spread an attack to millions of computers.
So I'm sorry to drill down on this.
No.
But that was so frightening what you just said. So it went into his personal contacts.
Yeah.
And sent an email?
Yeah, an email. So in your contacts, so if, for instance, if you open up your Outlook or your whatever you use for email, right? And you go into your contacts folder, how many contacts would you see there right now?
5,000.
5,000, okay, right. So imagine, this is what we call potentially a Trojan horse. So it will then go, it runs a little piece of software on the PC or Mac. People think Macs are secure. It's a myth, right? But what it then does, it then starts a loop, and it goes through and it emails every single contact, all 5,000 contacts with you. But because they see the email coming from you, they trust you. They go, we know Michael. Wow. You know, he does amazing podcasts. We'll open the email. Done.
Wow.
And then that repeats and repeats and repeats. So you see, it's like fire. It just spreads. But now let's get back to the IT company. So I went back to the IT company. I said, listen, you obviously have a problem here now, because your customer, my friend, has been compromised. Multiple levels, both on the email side and on the computer, because both your security solutions failed. Otherwise, that email would have never got in. And you wouldn't then send all these other people emails, all right?
Not normally in recent years, would that be termed as a firewall? Is that what people are
That's a great question. Firewalls, how's this for a statement, are dead.
Are they?
Firewall sits at the perimeter. In other words, in the old days, before COVID, great question, sir, by the way. The firewall just protects you from people trying to get into your network, okay? So in other words, imagine your house, and imagine a gate, and there's a lock on the front gate. That's a firewall. But here's the thing. Okay, here comes the what do you call it? The guy that on his bicycle, postman, and the guy that delivers the Sunday Times, and he throws straight over the firewall, front door. You open up the Sunday Times, you're done.
Yes.
Do you understand the logic now?
Yes.
So email comes in, the email goes straight through the firewall, because remember what I said, the firewall door, the email door you can never close.
Yes.
There are 4 doors. There are actually 65,000 doors, just to be a little bit technical, but there are 4 doors you can't close. And I can get technical. Email door, the web, to surface websites, different types, and then there's 1 or 2 others. Those doors you can never close.
Wow.
So you need to protect them, right? Coming back to the IT company. I then said to the IT company, this is where I'm going to answer your question about the 4 services.
Sure.
I said, obviously, let's call him John, the head of the IT company. You know, lovely guy. But remember, he's an IT support specialist. He's not a cybersecurity specialist. He doesn't even know what to recommend to the customer properly. Obviously, it's failed. Let's remember that fact. I then said to him, John, we need to implement much better security for all his computers, and we need to implement, obviously, much better email security. Email security is going to cost him £9.47 a month per mailbox. He said, no problem. I see value on that. I'm going to recommend that to the customer. Done. He's actually placing the order today. On the computer side, the computer security side, now bear in mind, we've got a team of 250 security specialists, plus we include a ransom guarantee of up to £800,000 per site, depending on how many computers somebody has, right?
What does that mean? Ransom guarantee?
Ransom guarantee. So if you see a lot of, ransom attacks have increased, but I'm trying to remember the figure since COVID started it's in the hundreds of percent. So
somebody's asking for money.
Yeah.
And if you don't give me the money, I'm going to do X.
Okay, so let me give you a non-technical answer of a ransom attack. There are multiple types, but let's stick with 2 types. One, I go onto your computer, I steal your client's data. I'll phone you or I'll email you and say, listen, so by the way, we had this with a small accountancy firm, only 5 users. I'm going to start phoning your customers and tell them that I got your data from the accountancy firm. If you don't pay me half a Bitcoin or whatever.
Wow.
Now, bearing in mind, I work with probably 6 or 7 of the cyber police units around the country. They will not even phone you back if you've lost less than 10K. You won't even get a phone call back, right? So they know that they keep the ransom payments under 10K. You can't touch them. So the point there is, so that's the first ransom, which is kind of really annoying. And if you look at the latest stats released yesterday, people actually are paying less ransom. But some insurance policies now gives you the money to pay the ransom, which I disagree with. The second ransom is much worse, and we deal with these often, where they'll go in. Now, bearing in mind, here's some stats for you. In the UK, on average, it takes 237 days before somebody's even finding out that hackers are currently on their systems. So they're on there monitoring, managing, stealing data.
So nearly a year.
For all this, well, so about 6 months, to be exact.
Wow.
237, a little bit more. Where people have complete no visibility. Why? Because normal antivirus solutions cannot detect unknown threats. It doesn't detect behavior. You need a solution that can detect behavior. But now what they do is they encrypt all the files, even your backups. They'll encrypt your backups so you can't even recover from your backups. They'll even encrypt all your data you've got stored in 365 or G Suite, which means at one point they flick a switch, and I've seen this with my own eyes. It's like fire when it spreads. Everybody comes to a standstill. You can't access. It happens to the NHS. It happens to so many countries all the time. That's what I call a proper ransom, where you can't move, because then what happens, they leave you a lovely little notepad note to say, unless you pay me 2 or 3 Bitcoin, buy in 7 days, or sometimes they put a nice little image on all your computers. Okay, it's completely locked down now with a little counter, and unless you give us X amount of Bitcoin, we will either destroy all your data, or even better, we'll sell it to your competitors.
Wow.
Now, let me give you an example. So Zoom, Everybody uses Zoom, right?
Yes.
Now, Zoom, a couple of years ago, lost 500,000 records, usernames and passwords. That you can now buy on the dark web for 1 penny per record. And if you want to know what the dark web is, that's where you buy child pornography, AK-47s, any drug of choice, and have it delivered to you this afternoon. Wow. All right? And that's why, for me, when I talk about cybersecurity, if you think about why do people live longer? They live longer because of early detection.
Yes.
Cybersecurity works on the exact same principles. If we have the right systems in place, we can detect the threat, we can kill the threat, we can make changes to stop it from happening again. Make sense?
So much more protection.
Yeah. So, and that brings me back to the dark web. Most people do not even know that their data is for sale on the dark web. So if you don't have a monitoring system in place, like one of the services we offer is a enterprise password manager.
And I guess, sorry to go back to this, I guess dark web, for people out there who've never heard of it, is like the black market.
Yeah, very similar. In the old days, it was actually used for a good thing, but nowadays they use it as a trading platform for data that's been stolen. Illegal
things.
And mostly, and you can buy whatever you like, and there's different variations. So for instance, a username password is 1 penny. I've got I'm just trying to remember if I got, no, with me. I've got the latest 2022 sliding scale for what your data's worth, whether it's a credit card, whether it's a LinkedIn account, whether it's a bank account. There's different levels of how much you have to pay to get the record. But my point is, people don't even know this stuff is for sale. No. And the problem there then becomes, so many people are using the same password for their Zoom account, their Twitter account. Twitter's now lost 400 million, something. Their ring.com, their baby alarm, their email address, or their email account. Did you see how the problem explodes instantly? Because people are lazy. They use the same password for multiple places. Worse, they find setting up multi-factor or two-factor authentication a pain in the bum.
What does that mean, two-factor authentication?
Great question. You're using a bank right now, right?
Yes.
How many pieces of information do you need to log onto your bank?
I think 3.
Yes, it is 3. Your username, your password, and then a code. That code normally only lasts for about 30 seconds. Do you agree?
Yes.
Exactly. That third thing is called multi or two-factor authentication.
Okay.
So it's something and something you have. You know your username, you know your password, but you do not have
that code.
So remember that little card holder? You stuck your card in, it came up with a number. What's happened now? Simply it's moved to an app on the phone.
Okay.
We normally recommend that you store that multi-factor authentication inside the password manager that we recommend.
But that's the bank that drives us in that direction, isn't it? They're coming up with ways to help us. So we think.
Yeah. Who?
The bank, or saying to the customer, you have to have this new app.
Yeah.
It used to be this card reader. It's now the app. So are you saying that they are wrong, or we need to listen to them?
100%. Because you asked me what is multi or two-factor authentication, and I'm telling you the bank story, because banks have been doing this for many years now, and they're enforcing the process.
Okay.
And in there lies the good thing about all of this. They are saying to the user or to the person who banks for them, unless you have this code, two-factor, multi-factor code, you cannot log onto your bank account. Okay. So they've added extra layers of security.
To protect us.
To protect us. Now, there are ways around it, but it's not for the average person, the man on the street. Remember, again, the whole thing about cybersecurity for me is all you have to do is to outrun. When the lion is chasing you, you've got to just outrun the guy behind you.
Yes.
And this works on the same model for me. If you put multiple layers around yourself as a person, as a business, they'll go somewhere else. Simple as that.